What's going on, YouTube and y'all squad? This is your boy Yakutees. This is your review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 14, episode 18, The Reunion, part 1. I'll say it was okay. If I had to score, I would probably give it a B minus. And it's only because of the simple fact that I wish what we got at the very end would have been Marlo's storyline for the season. Obviously, you have to use parts of your real life as what you're going to talk about during the season. And I wish that she would have explored her relationship with her mother and really the effects of her upbringing and the foster care and how that has affected her and how that translates into how she treats people. Therapy sessions like these things would have really done great for her. But let's just get into the review. So we get a bone collector montage of all of the ladies for the most part collecting bones and whatnot. Sonya doesn't want the title of bone collector, but baby girl, you did more bone collecting than the bone collector. But okay. Drew was asked about being a bone collector, and she said, she throws the bones left by Sheree at Sheree's Chihuahua. Now, it was quiet, and we heard the birds chirping. There were several times that Drew didn't say something, and it's quiet, and you just hear the birds chirping. So I'm just like, ooh, that didn't. I don't know if that was a good thing. And of course, editing y'all are shady. But anyway, so Sheree was asked, "Did you know that the bone futon collected was going to be used, and did you feel like, or because it felt like you wanted her to do your dirty work?" She mentions that Anthony told her, but nothing really came of that. But then she says Futon already knew, and she never thought that she would reveal it. I call bull, but look, we know lies by charade, so it just is what it is. A question is asked, to Kenya about her playing both sides in reference to her, um, I'm sorry, but playing sides between Drew and Sonya when Drew said that, Sonya doesn't have a mind of her own. And Kenya was like, no, I don't feel that I was playing both sides. Needed to be said. Drew stands by what she said and calls her a great runner. Just like she's a great runner. And Sonya did not like that because she says that we both have been on the earth about the same time, and Drew's accomplishments are mediocre at best. I'm like, okay, well, come through. So now we get Sheree's package. Hey, don't want to talk about this. So the website come up, and you can tell. Here's the thing: I was watching Nikki Star's. I believe it was a live that she did. It was either a live or a pre-recorded, but she was talking about the She by Sheree thing. And she did bring up a point that the first person to get something was Andy with the hoodie. And she believes that Andy probably is getting a percentage of whatever is going to come of it. Because most of the time when things are presented on the show, especially in recent seasons, if you premiere something on one of these housewife shows, oh yeah, Bravo Andy is getting a cut of that. I think with She by Sheree, because it was so early, not necessarily so, but maybe he was an investor or a backer. We don't know. But he's like, well, I went on the website, I can't get anything, and Sheree's like, yeah, well, it's going to be live, pretty much at the end of the season finale. We all know that was a lie because we've all covered it, right? Okay. Andy asked her about the last time, talking about, the last time when she like, spring, summer, September, that whole thing. And, she says her priority is her kids and she was putting them on the back burner. And his whole thing is, well, why didn't you just say that? And it's not even that. You should know by now that every time you get on the reunion stage, Andy is going to ask you about She by Sheree. You know he's going to ask you about it. So you should have already had something prepared. But she literally just told us, and I think we've all have said that this was never a passion for her. And one, the ladies were pressuring her, but I feel that once the Tyrone thing fell through, it was I need something, so let me go to the She by Sheree, bag. So there's that. Sheree asked why she shaded Drop It with Drew when it took her 14 years to get She by Sheree off the ground. Sheree says she represents fashion, Drew doesn't represent fitness. Drew talks about, her journey and that, yes, she's had work done and that was for her. All the ladies have had work done. And she was like, but with this whole fitness thing, it was just something that I was doing for myself and it is a venture for me. Cool, whatever. But she did say, I wish I would have got the support that the ladies were giving Sheree. And look, the ladies were literally supporting her with damn near everything they had, providing her with contacts and everything. So Sheree not paying people comes up. She says she pays who she needs to pay. And we all know that whole thing. And then it's the whole thing of, well, if you have a contract with somebody and they do a job and da 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 da, do you not pay them? No, what you need to do is you just need to be specific within that contract where I'm contracting you to do this job, this, and you say this is the expected date. What is the worst case scenario date? Okay, cool. We have this in here. Now I'm going to provide this much funds in reference to the materials that you need. If you make a mistake and now you've wasted all the materials, okay, well, you need to come out of pocket. Like, it's literally like you can have all of this in the contract to where whatever you agreed on is what you're going to pay. But if you don't get what you're supposed to get, have it in there that they are going to make sure that it is right and they will collect that final payment, but they're not going to be paid any more than what was already agreed upon because they didn't do right by you. I'm just saying there's ways to work around that, right? But again, hey, somebody do a job, pay them, right? And if it wasn't done correctly, then that's what court is for. Anyway, Candy is asked about spilling the behind the scenes tea. Shout out to Color Me because that's her thing. Behind the scenes tea. And Candy's whole thing is, in a roundabout way, say if you come from me, I'm gonna tell what I know, and that's what it was. And even in her watching the show, a lot of what she was saying is in response to what she was watching on the show. Marlo asked Candy, just answer a yes or no question. Did Ty call me about a show? And Candy's like, no, he did not call you about a show. You and I were already in talks about the show, and that is when he reached out to you. And then you have Marlo trying to discredit Candy, saying, oh, well, you don't produce shows, which is a lie, because we all know Candy does produce shows. Okay. And Marlo's whole thing is, well, I got the contract. It didn't look right to me. It didn't benefit me. That was the key. Benefit me that she didn't get what she thought she deserved to get, which, hey, know your worth. So her whole thing is because it never happened, then why do you keep talking about it? Candy's whole thing is the fact that you are on this platform currently telling people that I'm not doing for people is a lie, and that is why I'm bringing it up. And the fact that it never came to fruition, well, y'all know the details on that. I don't have to talk about it. If y'all want to know more details, go watch Candy, right? Um, okay, I'm on. All right, so we just gonna ease on through this. So now we get on Sheree. Well, we were already on Sheree. We took a detour. Now we back to Sheree. Talk about her boo. She says he a nice guy. I was just like, I know you lied. She says they're dating, taking it day by day. She's just having fun. She's asked about his past, and then you had, I believe, Kenya bringing down. Well, he was married. He stepped out, had a baby. Whoop wop the bam, and then Sheree's asked, "Why would you get with a man like that?" She claims she never watched the show, so had she watched the show first and would have known the character, no, she wouldn't have went for a man like that. But pretty much she didn't. But she met him. He's a pretty decent guy. She was like, he's attractive, but I don't really care about looks, baby. When I tell you, kid, you hit up with the hit or quit and talk about, so yeah, we met Bob. I was like, oh, Kenya. I was here for it. That was one of my highlights. And now I'm like, you better say that, Kenya. Sheree says she's getting to know him and he's different off the show than he is on the show. And we can't say that about a lot of people, but based off of what we've been seeing on social media, I don't know. So now we get to Drew and Sonya. Drew wants to know, what did she do to Sonya? Now, one thing that Sonya was doing is she was doing a bit of storytelling, which I can understand, trying to, lay a foundation to provide a point. But she could have easily said, what you did to me was this. We didn't get that initially. Sonya says that she milks things. They actually had a convo. I believe it was about the invoice based off of the clip that we saw. And she told her about the conversation that she had with Kenya. She then says that Drew said to her, "The group sees me as confrontational, but she's not that way. Yet every time she sees her, she's in conflict." Now, that's not a necessary issue that y'all have with each other, but that is something that you have observed that you know does rub you the wrong way. Cool. But I'm gonna get there in a second. Drew says she still doesn't know the issue. And then Sonya says, "You betrayed my trust." Now that's where you should have started. But we don't even dive all the way into that. But then the cloud chasing comes up. And Sonya says, because Andy asked, "Well, Marlo did have something to say." And she was like, "Well, Marlo didn't know me at the time when she made that comment." And Drew was invited first, but she had the least followers. And then she begins to tear up and whatnot. And though I don't see it for Drew, it was very Chicago of her to just be like, like literally ignore the hell out of her feelings. I felt that was very performative. Now Andy says she's not an actress, so she's probably not putting on. I'm like, okay, all right, Andy, all right, Andrew. So now we get to Marlo's package, and this is pretty much where we end the show. So she tears up talking about her mother saying that she's going back to her old ways, but the visit that they had, like, it was different than all the others, the best that they had. She mentions that her grandmother didn't know how to be a mom, her mom didn't, but she wants to be close and be able to talk to her mother, like if she ends up fighting with the ladies or whatever. And see, this is where I say we could have had a better storyline for her, because the fact that, okay, your grandmother did not know how to be a mother to your mother did not know how to be a mother to you. Now here you are having to figure out how to be a mother or a momty to your nephews. but literally diving into that whole generational, if you want to say, curse type of thing. She then mentions running away at 10 because her mother beat her very badly. Then she moved in. Then a Jamaican family, I believe, connected to a church. Went, brought her in. They were abusive. So then she left. Then she went into the system. The first family was strict. Marlo would go around telling everybody how the mother that, or the family that she's with, is very strict. The mother's like, "Okay, well, you have to go because you're telling my business," because the woman had an image to protect. The second home, the mother had a daughter, but had to let her go because her actual daughter um, felt unloved because Marlo was getting all the attention. So Marlo was then, kicked out for that. And she pretty much said how she was mad at the world after that. She feels unwanted and she wants acceptance. And again, this is, and when I say that she could have dove into that, she could have went and did therapy, amongst other things, and really had like a very flushed out storyline where you're literally going into the depths of what your past is. And at the same exact time, when the women had said to Marlo, the fact that you put your boys out with everything that you went through, and the ladies even said on the stage, they didn't even know the depths of what she went through because she never shared it. During the show would have been the perfect time. And that could have been the storyline. You and the boys did not necessarily have to be. You putting the boys on Front Street didn't have to be. You blasting your sister didn't have to be. Anyway, Andy correlates, what she just said to her getting a peach, and she was saying how she felt unworthy, like just wanting to be a part of the cool kids and whatnot. Uh, Kenya is as was Marlo the housewife she thought she was, and she said no. Instead of showing you have a good heart and you're a great friend, she went the opposite route. And Andy was like, "Well, she was a great friend to you. Like, how about New York?" And Kenya's whole thing is like, she was a good friend. I'm not gonna say she was a great friend. Then we also see when she was at Brooklyn's party, and even back to New York when she was encouraging her when it came to Mark. And the one thing that she said is yes. And when we went on the outs, the first thing she went to was weaponizing my child and my husband against me. And Marlo kept saying, "But I never did it while we were friends." Of course, you're not gonna do it when you're good with somebody. But because that's the first place you go to, first place you go to, it's a problem. So Andy says to Marlo, it seems that you must have been hurt by men, and that must impact how you are with men. And she says, because she said it is because she doesn't need them and she can do without them, and yeah, and hasn't been emotionally um, fulfilled in these relationships, and even correlates it back to her father. And again, these are the things that could have made for a great story arc for her, but we never got that. So that's it. That right there is pretty much the meat and potatoes. I didn't want to, dibble dabble too long, right? So, yeah, don't forget the Whether You Like It or Not panel is tomorrow. There is a chance that I will not be there because I will actually be lollygagging with me mother and actually going to see her sister whenever I can get a chance to, be with my aunt and, my uncle. Like, oh, that's her husband, uncle-in-law. I definitely take those times because the elders are up there in age, and hey, we got to make these moments count. So if I can join the group, I will be with the group. If I'll be with y'all. If not, hey, it's always next time. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great week. Be blessed. Take things day by day. Don't sweat the little stuff. You feel what I'm saying? Keep your eyes on the prize. And if you feeling down, always have something that brings you joy or that will always bring you out of a bad space, like very close to the hip, and just rely on that. Other than that, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you all for the next video. Peace.